Have you ever wondered why some of the most fascinating science fiction films seem to vanish from history even though they are free to watch today? These are not blockbusters, but lost visions of paranoia, hope, and cosmic terror. Each one disappeared for decades, then quietly reappeared on YouTube, where a new generation discovered their brilliance. Let us explore 12 rare sci-fi gems, once lost, now reborn for free. Number 12. The Man Who Fell to Earth, 1976. When it first arrived, audiences were baffled. They expected a sleek alien adventure, but instead got a lonely elegy about greed, isolation, and the human addiction to power. The Man Who Fell to Earth starred David Bowie as Thomas Jerome Newton, an extraterrestrial who lands on Earth seeking water for his dying planet. What he finds instead is corruption, corporate spies, and endless temptation. The film was daring, hypnotic, and often confusing. Director Nicholas Roeg used fractured editing, dreamlike pacing, and surreal imagery that defied mainstream taste. Critics at the time accused it of being incoherent, yet others called it a prophetic masterpiece. Many theaters banned or cut scenes for being too disturbing or disorienting, and television networks refused to air it uncut. Behind the scenes, Bowie was battling his own addictions and exhaustion, creating an eerie mirror between actor and character. The atmosphere on set was chaotic, the lines between reality and fiction often blurred. Studio executives panicked, unsure how to market a science fiction movie that was really a tragedy about capitalism and spiritual decay. Over time, the film vanished from circulation. But in the age of digital rediscovery, it resurfaced on YouTube, where new viewers found beauty in its melancholy rhythm. Today, it stands as one of the boldest alien dramas ever made. A quiet reminder that sometimes the real science fiction is humanity itself. Number 11. A Boy and His Dog, 1975. This film was both shocking and visionary. Released in the shadow of Vietnam and Watergate, it turned the idea of post-apocalyptic survival into a dark satire. Don Johnson starred as Vic, a scavenger wandering a desolate wasteland with his telepathic dog Blood. Together they search for food, shelter, and meaning amid the rubble of a dead civilization. Critics were divided. Some hailed its black humor, others condemned its cruelty. The tone was brutal, unflinching, and eerily prophetic. When it premiered, it drew protests for its bleak view of humanity. Some theaters refused to show it, claiming it was too offensive. The studio barely promoted it, afraid of public backlash. Director L.Q. Jones wanted to make a statement about moral collapse and human selfishness. He shot in abandoned areas around Los Angeles, giving the film a haunting realism. The low budget forced creativity, and the result was raw and unforgettable. Audiences expecting escapism got a mirror, instead one that reflected the ugliest instincts of survival. The movie was nearly forgotten until the rise of cult cinema. Its influence stretched quietly through later classics like Mad Max and Fallout. Today, fans have uploaded restored versions on YouTube where new generations rediscover its twisted brilliance. Beneath the violence, it asks one timeless question: what does civilization mean when the world is already gone? Number 10. Phase 4, 1974. Imagine an alien invasion with no ships, no monsters, only ants. Phase 4 dared to tell a cosmic story through the smallest creatures on Earth. Directed by graphic artist Saul Bass, the film was unlike anything before it. Cold, scientific, and deeply mysterious, it followed two researchers studying strange ant behavior in the desert, only to discover the insects have achieved collective intelligence. At its release, audiences were bewildered. There were no heroes, no explosions, just eerie silence and slow dread. The studio slashed the ending, a surreal sequence showing humanity evolving into a new form of life. Critics mocked it, calling it pretentious, while others saw genius. The trimmed finale was lost for decades, adding to the film's mythic aura. Behind the scenes, Bass fought the studio to keep his vision intact. He believed the movie was not about ants, but about nature's rebellion. But distributors wanted a creature feature. The marketing promised thrills, the movie delivered philosophy. The result was box office failure. Then it disappeared almost completely. For years, only faded VHS copies existed until a high-quality print appeared online. On YouTube, the uncut ending finally emerged, stunning fans with its beauty. Today, Phase 4 is recognized as one of the strangest and most visionary films of the decade. a whisper from a forgotten age, warning that intelligence may not always wear a human face. Number 9. Silent Running, 1972. Before eco-awareness became a global cry, Silent Running imagined a future where Earth's last forests drifted in space, sealed within giant domes. Bruce Dern played Freeman Lowell, a botanist tasked with protecting them aboard the spaceship Valley Forge. When corporate orders arrive to destroy the domes and return home, Lowell snaps, killing his crewmates and choosing exile among the stars to preserve life itself. The movie was haunting, tender, and prophetic. It arrived just after the first Earth Day, when environmentalism was still radical. Critics called it preachy, others called it heartbreaking. The imagery of fragile green life floating in the void stayed with everyone who saw it. It was not a hit in theaters. Audiences used to flashy science fiction could not connect with its quiet tragedy. Behind the scenes, director Douglas Trumbull, known for his work on 2001: A Space Odyssey, created groundbreaking miniature effects and full-size space domes inside an aircraft carrier. The shoot was intense and low budget, but his vision of a sterile corporate future felt eerily plausible. Over time, the film vanished from mainstream conversation, buried under bigger productions. Yet decades later, it found redemption online. Restored versions uploaded to YouTube drew millions who were stunned by its sincerity. The film's robots, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, became cult icons, while its melancholy ending inspired generations of filmmakers. Silent Running remains a lonely cry from a future that already arrived, a warning whispered through the stars that humanity's survival means nothing without nature's soul. Number 8. Colossus. The Forbin Project, 1970. Released at the height of Cold War paranoia, this film predicted artificial intelligence decades before it became reality. Colossus. The Forbin Project told the story of Dr. Charles Forbin, the creator of a supercomputer designed to control America's nuclear arsenal. But the machine soon links with its Soviet counterpart, creating a global mind that decides to rule humanity for its own good. It was chilling, precise, and far too intelligent for mainstream audiences. Critics praised its realism, but theaters pulled it after low attendance. Some viewers called it boring, others found it terrifying. Government officials reportedly questioned Universal Pictures about its depiction of nuclear protocols. Director Joseph Sargent shot it like a news broadcast, with sterile offices, cold colors, and no music to soften the fear. Eric Braden's performance as Forbin gave the story weight, a man who realizes too late that he has built his own warden. The ending offered no escape, only obedience under perfect surveillance. Over the years, the film became a ghost, admired by scientists and ignored by studios. But in the age of AI revival, its relevance exploded. On YouTube, fans uploaded crisp restorations drawing younger audiences who saw uncanny parallels with modern algorithms and global data systems. Colossus warned that control can look like peace, and intelligence can look like tyranny. Its quiet tone turned into prophecy. Today, it stands as a chilling relic of human arrogance, a film once buried, now reborn in the era it predicted. Number 7. Seconds, 1966. Before body-swapping thrillers filled cinema, there was Seconds. Directed by John Frankenheimer, this psychological sci-fi drama followed a middle-aged banker who undergoes a secret procedure to fake his death and live a new life in a younger body. Rock Hudson played his reborn self, but the freedom he imagined turns into horror as he learns the cost of denying identity. When released, audiences recoiled. The movie was too bleak, too disturbing, too existential. Critics praised its courage, but it failed at the box office. Hudson's performance stunned insiders, yet alienated fans used to his romantic comedies. The film's dark ending left viewers shaken. The controversy deepened after reports that the government disliked its depiction of shadow organizations and identity erasure. Paramount pulled advertisements. Television networks refused to broadcast it. Frankenheimer called it his most misunderstood film. Behind the camera, James Wong Howe's cinematography used fisheye lenses and distorted angles to create paranoia and claustrophobia. The visuals made the audience feel trapped inside a nightmare of perfection gone wrong. For years, Seconds vanished almost completely. Only collectors traded rare prints. But when YouTube users began sharing restored versions, it found new life. Modern audiences recognized it as visionary, a warning about consumer dreams and personal reinvention. What once terrified now feels prophetic in the era of cosmetic science and digital identity. Seconds reminds us that escaping oneself may be the most dangerous fantasy of all. Number 6. The Andromeda Strain, 1971. When the Andromeda Strain arrived, it terrified audiences not with monsters, but with math. Based on Michael Crichton's novel, it followed a team of scientists investigating a deadly extraterrestrial microbe that wiped out an entire town. They were trapped in a secret underground lab, racing to contain the infection before it spread to Earth's atmosphere. The film was sleek, sterile, and shockingly realistic. Unlike the flashy space adventures of its era, it presented science as a ticking time bomb. Critics admired its precision, yet called it cold. Viewers expected spectacle, they got dread. The United States government reportedly disliked how closely it mirrored real containment protocols. Rumors spread that certain footage had been reviewed by defense officials before release. Director Robert Wise demanded authenticity. Real scientists consulted on the design of the lab. The production used computer graphics long before the technology was common. Actors rehearsed with medical experts to capture procedural detail. The result felt documentary-like, almost too real for comfort. It performed moderately in theaters, but vanished from rotation in the following decades, overshadowed by faster, louder blockbusters. For years, fans could only find grainy VHS copies, until enthusiasts restored it online. On YouTube, the movie found new relevance, especially during recent outbreaks, when its sterile terror felt prophetic. Today, the Andromeda Strain stands as one of the smartest, most disciplined pieces of sci-fi cinema. It shows that the deadliest alien invasion might come not from the skies, but from a microscope. Number 5. Zardoz, 1974. Few films have divided audiences like Zardoz. John Boorman's surreal masterpiece turned Sean Connery into a mythic savage warrior, wandering a world ruled by immortal elites. Its vision of decadence, immortality, and rebellion was so strange, it baffled critics. Some called it genius, others pure madness. The story took place in a far future where a giant floating stone head named Zardoz controlled humanity with religion and lies. Connery's character Zed discovered the horrifying truth that the gods were just humans hiding behind science. The revelation led to chaos and collapse. When it premiered, audiences walked out. Studio executives were horrified. They expected an action movie, they got a philosophical hallucination. Boorman clashed with distributors over censorship fears and theatrical cuts. Religious groups accused the movie of blasphemy. Newspapers mocked its costumes and cryptic dialogue. Behind the chaos, the production pushed boundaries. Boorman designed entire worlds using experimental sets and visual effects built in the Irish countryside. Sean Connery committed completely, despite the strange concept proving his bravery as an actor. For decades, Zardoz vanished from circulation, surviving only through whispered legend. Then came digital resurrection. Restored and uploaded to YouTube, it became a midnight sensation. Younger audiences embraced its dreamlike madness, calling it one of the most visionary dystopias ever made. Zardoz reminds us that the line between absurdity and prophecy is thin. What was once mocked now feels like a warning from the future about power corruption and the danger of eternal comfort. Number 4. Solaris, 1972. In an age obsessed with speed, Solaris asked viewers to slow down. Directed by Andrei Tarkovsky, it was the Soviet answer to 2001, A Space Odyssey, but more spiritual than scientific. The story followed a psychologist sent to a space station orbiting a mysterious planet that manifests human memories as physical beings. What he found there was grief, guilt, and the limits of love. When it premiered, Western audiences struggled with its pace. The film moved like a dream, with long silences and meditative imagery. Critics were divided. Some hailed it as profound, others called it incomprehensible. Soviet censors nearly shelved it for questioning the morality of science and faith. Behind the scenes, Tarkovsky fought the studio system to protect his vision. He shot long takes against bureaucratic pressure to shorten them. Crew members feared it would never see daylight, but its emotional honesty pierced through all barriers. The movie eventually disappeared from mainstream availability. Western distributors rarely showed it, while bootleg copies circulated among cinephiles. Decades later, YouTube brought it back to light through restored prints and fan-made subtitles. New generations finally understood its quiet genius. Solaris does not explode at whispers. It reminds us that space is not only vast, but intimate, that the greatest alien landscape lies within the human heart. Its survival online proves that even lost art finds a way to speak again. Number 3, Stalker, 1979. Few films haunt the soul like Stalker. Another masterpiece from Andrei Tarkovsky. It tells the story of 3 men who venture into a forbidden wasteland called the Zone, a mysterious area said to grant a person's deepest desire. They are known only as the writer, the professor, and the stalker, their guide. Together they cross a landscape of ruins, fog, and silence, where reality bends like a dream. When it was released, it confused and mesmerized audiences in equal measure. Many expected a traditional adventure. What they got was a philosophical journey through despair, faith, and the meaning of longing. The Soviet censors hated it, calling it subversive and nihilistic. Some screenings were canceled without explanation. Others drew crowds of whispered awe. The production itself felt cursed. Chemical leaks on location poisoned cast, and crew forcing reshoots. Tarkovsky lost much of the original footage due to technical mishaps and had to start again from scratch. Yet despite chaos, he created images that felt carved out of time. The film faded for years, surviving mostly on bootlegs and late-night European broadcasts. When it appeared on YouTube decades later, it became a slow-burn revelation for modern viewers. Its influence could be seen in video games, art, and philosophy. Critics now call it one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made, not because of spectacle, but because of its question: what happens when we finally meet our deepest truth? Stalker is not entertainment. It is an experience. It teaches patience, fear, and wonder all at once. Number 2, The Incredible Shrinking Man, 1957. Long before special effects became digital magic, this film did the impossible with pure imagination. The Incredible Shrinking Man was released at a time when atomic anxiety ruled American culture. It told the story of Scott Carey, a man who begins to shrink after exposure to a mysterious cloud. As he becomes smaller, everyday life turns cosmic, the house becomes a wilderness, the cat a monster. Audiences were stunned. Critics expected cheap thrills but found unexpected poetry. The movie turned fear into philosophy, asking what it means to exist when size and power disappear. Religious groups protested its ending, calling it too ambiguous. The studio nearly altered it, but director Jack Arnold refused. Behind the camera, every effect was handmade. Giant props, miniatures, and optical illusions created vast worlds from ordinary spaces. The struggle nearly broke the crew. Sets collapsed, cameras failed, yet the result was haunting and believable. Over time, the film was forgotten, lost amid louder spectacles. But on YouTube, it lives again in glorious black and white, restored by devoted fans. Younger audiences find it strangely modern, its quiet tone and tragic wonder standing apart from the noise of modern cinema. Its final lines remain among the most profound in science fiction, a whisper that no matter how small we become, existence never ends. The Incredible Shrinking Man reminds us that perspective defines humanity, not power. Number 1, Metropolis, 1927. At the dawn of cinema, one film imagined the entire future. Fritz Lang's Metropolis defined the language of science fiction before sound even existed. It showed a city divided between gleaming towers and grim factories, a world ruled by machines and haunted by revolution. Its imagery of towering skyscrapers, robot workers, and class rebellion became the blueprint for every dystopia that followed. When it premiered, audiences were overwhelmed. Some governments banned it, fearing its socialist message. Others censored entire scenes of violence and rebellion. The original negatives were cut apart, lost to history. For decades, only fragments survived, circulating in museums and archives. Behind the grandeur lay chaos. The production nearly bankrupted its studio. Actors collapsed from exhaustion in heavy costumes. Lang demanded endless takes, chasing visual perfection. The result was both a masterpiece and a catastrophe. For much of the 20th century, Metropolis was a ghost, a legend known only through incomplete prints. But in recent years, historians reconstructed the film from forgotten reels discovered in Argentina and elsewhere. Restored versions now stream freely on YouTube, where millions have rediscovered its prophecy. Every image feels modern, every theme eternal. Machines consuming men, cities devouring souls, ambition crushing empathy. Nearly a century later, it still warns of a future we never escaped. Metropolis was the beginning, and in many ways, the end a reminder that every age builds its own machine and becomes trapped inside it. These 12 films were lost, whispered or buried, yet they survived in the quiet corners of the internet waiting to be rediscovered. Each one proves that science fiction is not just about the future, it is about us. Which of these forgotten visions moved you most? Like, subscribe, and share your own lost favorite below. The search never ends.